SMT Nation, we back. Nation, bad news for Verizon, bad news for TracFone. Definitely a black eye for this particular event. It's pretty negative, but regardless, it's good to know what's going on here with the situation involving Verizon, TracFone, and the Lifeline issue. They reached a settlement with the FCC, or however it's being termed, in an investigation for a violation of benefit programs. Not the first time I've heard of these types of things. I've heard about it with prepaid carriers and lifeline providers. I've heard it with Sprint before, so it's not so outlandish. It's not so out of nowhere. I've heard of these things before. So anyways, the article will be linked in the description, and ways to support the SMT you can find there as well. Okay, so the news here is that the FCC has an enforcement bureau, and they reached the settlement with TracFone. There was an investigation as to whether or not the TracFone brand had violated rules that were implemented for Lifeline and emergency broadband benefit programs. Verizon, for what it's worth, acquired TracFone, I think 2 years ago. And, I'm not sure about the exact close of that. Maybe that's the time frame. But I think some of this was happening pre-Verizon. I think it goes back to like 2020, but the fine itself, I think it's going to be valued somewhere between $17 and $23 million. There's an apparent liability for additional Lifeline violations and a civil penalty for said violations. So there, like I said, there have been previous fraud, type occurrences and investigations going back to Sprint, I think in 2019. I definitely covered it on my channel back then. So this isn't the first time we've seen this sort of thing. With respect to the fines, it's not really going to hurt Verizon. Even though Verizon had nothing to do with it, they did inherit this brand, so it is their business. And I guess you just move on from this. Nothing really to say other than a little bit of residual issues out of TracFone. Meanwhile, they should probably figure out how to stop losing 200 or 300,000 customers a quarter. Just some news for you guys here. Crappy, terrible. Don't like to hear about these types of things. People taking advantage of the system. Surprise, surprise. What do you guys think of this development? And what do you guys think, man? Maybe a restructure to this? You think it's just a matter of continuing to investigate things when something smells fishy? I think that's all it's going to be. Other than that, you're going to have to get rid of the programs. Right? There's always somebody trying to game the system. But sound off in the comment section below. You all the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard.